Hello, hello, YouTube sphere. How is everybody today on this tantalizing, terrific, triumphant Tuesday? Get my lighting together here. I'm always grateful to come live from the classroom on my YouTube. So let's get the other one started. Oh, shoot. Hey, look, I got to put my props up. Sorry. Oh, girl. Hey. I got to start off with a smile. Happy, tantalizing, terrific, triumphant Tuesday, everybody. It's a great day to have a great day. It's always a great day. Every day you put your feet on the ground, okay? And you got the activities of your limbs, okay? It's always a great day. It's Real Estate Tuesday, people. And we are here to talk about a financial strategy. Do you have financial goals for your home? I'm feeling like Claire Huxtable right now, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you. Um, I would love to have all the beauty, the elegance, and the grace that Felicia Rashad has, but I'll take it. It's giving me 1980s. To say Felicia Rashad Cosby Show, but that's how old I am. But anyway, it's Real Estate Tuesday. My name is Toria Howard, and I am the real estate educator. I educate families and individuals on how to increase their financial IQ in order for them to invest in themselves so they can purchase a personal property or investment property. That's what I do. And I have two ebooks. One is called Journey to Your Castle, which helps first time home buyers go from concept to mindset to goal setting all the way to the closing table. Because guess what? Your mindset has to change. And then I have House Rich and Money Smart, how to turn your home into a wealth building powerhouse. That's for homeowners. But if you're a first time home buyer, bundling those together for your financial strategy would be the best for you. Also, I will be putting out my book, Keys to Your Castle, which will incorporate all of those concepts together, but just in a workbook style where you're going to be able to work at your own pace and know exactly what you need to do to get ready for this buyer's market or seller's market, whichever one you're on. It still will give you the insights on how to do both, but it gives you a financial strategy. And I can't wait for that to come out. So today we're talking about, okay, setting financial goals for your home. And I know a lot of people, have all these New Year's resolutions and goals and things they want to do, but what is your financial strategy looking like? We have to understand that everything that we do has to have a strategy. And if you don't have a financial strategy when you're buying your home, you're in your home, then you're going to get lost in the sauce. So you need to make sure that you have those things intact. And with this climate that we're in, listen, we are in a situation where you have to have a strategy for every single thing, especially your finances. With everything that's turning over to, digital currency, them monitoring what we're spending. They already been monitoring what we spend, but they really about to put that monitoring on high gear with knowing when you spent that $100 bill, all types of different things that's going on. So you have to make sure that you have all that you need to be the best that you can for your family. We can't listen to the noise. There's a lot of people out there like don't buy a home. These are multimillionaires and billionaires who already have a home, and they say a home is a liability, it's not an asset. I show you how to turn that liability into an asset with a financial strategy. So I'm telling you today, or I say teaching you today, because not only am I a real estate educator, I'm an educator in real life. So I do this, but I study the trends and I study things that I know from experience. When I bought my first home and, started my businesses and doing all the different things, I know exactly what you need to do. So with that being said, let's get started. So home ownership isn't just about buying a house. It's about setting intentional financial goals so your home works for you and not against you. You don't want to be house poor. And a lot of people are afraid to purchase a home because of, oh, I got to keep up the upkeep. I got to do this and do that. If you have a financial strategy, this won't be a problem. So most people say, I want to buy a house, but that's not a goal. That's just a wish. You could turn that wish into an actual reality with a financial strategy. So the real goal has purpose, numbers, and timelines. So just like if you set smart goals for your business, if you're working for a company, they have goals for you to set, you know, you have to hit certain quotas, numbers, timelines, all of the things. Everything that you do has a financial strategy. Even if you're not the one that's actually doing it, everything that you do has a financial strategy. So, for example, you just want to say, you don't want to just say, I want to buy a house soon. You want to say, I want to buy a $250,000 house in 12 months, so my mortgage stays at 1700. So you need to know exactly what that number is that you know that you can afford. And then you want to save $500 a month, right? That might be a goal. So you want to have some type of reserve. Now, with tax season coming around, you might be able to increase that savings. Hopefully, you can, depending on what your financial strategy is. Hopefully, you're saving for something that's going to make you more money. We got to learn how to utilize our the bulks of money that we get, tax refunds, student loan, those refund checks from school, any type of bulk money that we get. We need to learn how to take that money and flip it to make it more money, and then you can pay that back with the money that you make off of it. I wish I would have known that all of those 5-figure refund checks I used to get from my student loans. I would have flipped it. If I would have known what I know now, I would have took that 3,000 and 5,000 and 4,000 that I was getting for student refund and flipping that and buying real estate with it, especially here in Detroit. And back then, real estate was cheap. So what I know now, I would have took that and made it more money, put it in the stock market. I know how to trade just a little bit. I watch Trapping Tuesdays and Market Mondays, and I took uh, a stock class back in 2022. So I know how to read charts and do all of that. If that's something that you're not into, but find something that is going to give you a ROI of 5 to 15%. You want something that is going to make money for you. Typically you want to stay in that 7 to 15% range, and owning a home can do that if you have a financial strategy. So when the why is clear, the strategy becomes easier. When you know exactly what you want to do, then you already understand where you want to go. So you have to make sure that you understand it. And the second thing I want to go over is you want to break that big goal down to similar financial targets. So you might have a goal of, I want to buy a $300,000 house, right? But that might seem a lot if you don't have $300,000 in your pocket. But what you want to do is you want to break down your home ownership into financial goals, credit score target. Now, with the credit score, if you get a federal loan like a FHA, Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac, USDA, there is no credit score minimum anymore. But you have to have some different factors. A lot of lenders are not going to accept derogatory items. You have some lenders that will. And a lot of times your credit score will matter if you want first-time homebuyer assistance. The lowest I've seen people doing first-time homebuyer assistance was like 580 to 600. Some want a 620 to a 650. I've seen the highest at 680. So it just all depends on what program you find that works best for you. But the higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate. But you can also, buy the house with the higher interest rate and refinance it later for a lower interest rate once you increase your credit score, because that buying the house can increase your credit score because it's putting an installment loan on your credit report. So you want to know your down payment amount. Even if you're getting down payment assistance, you still need to know the amount. I had a client recently purchase a home, and she had a 1% down. She did get 10% DPA, which is down payment assistance from MISHDA, but she still had to pay 1%. So you might have to pay a little bit down depending on your program and what lender you go to. Okay, but there are programs and grants out there that you can get 100% down payment assistance and add closing costs, or you might have to come with the closing costs. So make sure that you understand that your down payment, know the number, know how much closing costs. Closing costs range between 3 to 5% of your sales price. Okay, so if you're reaching for a home that's 200,000, then you're talking about 200,000 times 3%. At the low end, because as a buyer, you're not paying the taxes up front and all of that, so you're just focusing on the sale price. But as a seller, okay, your profit is probably going to, if you owe back taxes, your profit is going to get slimmer and slimmer. So you need to make sure that you are understanding your numbers on both sides, if you're a buyer and if you are a seller. Your emergency fund should always be 1% when you first started out of your sales price. Once you become a homeowner, it needs to be 1% of your home value. Okay, so if you buy a home for $250,000, you should have $2,500 saved each year in a high yielding savings account. You're not putting it in those regular savings accounts where it's only getting a penny every year. You put it in a high yield savings accounts so that you can make more money off of it. But as you become a homeowner, it's going to increase because of the fact that your home value is going up if you're buying right. Like in some neighborhoods in Detroit, you're having 7 to 10% of appreciation. In some of the suburbs, you're getting almost 15% appreciation. You want to buy in areas that are constantly growing. Now, your taxes are going to change because your home value is going to go up. But if you have a financial strategy, you will be readily prepared for that. Know what your monthly housing budget is. That's another number. So your mortgages are going to consist of your your PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So that is your mortgage altogether, right? So if you know you can afford $2,000 a month, then is that including your utilities? Is that including, other things that you have to have? Homeowners insurance, home warranties. So your housing budget needs to fit all of that. Your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, your homeowners insurance is included in PITI, but your home warranty needs to be in that number. Your utilities need to be in that number. And if you don't know your utility budget, all you got to do is call your local electric company, gas company, whoever it is, whoever does that for you, and ask them what is the average price that people are paying for this square footage of this home in this neighborhood. They can tell you that. So you have a rough estimate and always overestimate. So, for example, instead of saying I need $15,000 to buy, try I need $3,000 in a month. In 3 months, not in a month. $3,000 in 3 months, $5,000 in 6 months, $15,000 in 12 months. Now, you don't need $15,000 to purchase a home, because, well, I shouldn't say that. It all depends on where you're buying, because jumbo loans, if you get anything, like our FHA limit is $524,000. $524,000, is our limit, but in other cities and states, you're up to $1 million depending on like the cost of living. So when you get beyond that 524,000, you are in a jumbo loan. Those are the upper suburbs, like the Auburn Hills, the Bloomfields, the Novis, some houses in Southfield. Like when you get over that 524, you're talking about a jumbo loan. Jumbo loan is, because it's a luxury property, you're going to have to put more down, typically between 10 to 20%. So you could. Now but you just want to know what your numbers are. You want to know what your down payment is going to need to be. And you can get a rough estimate of your down payment. Like if you go to Realtor.com or Zillow.com and you see a house that you like, you can put in like this typically you're only going to pay 3.5% or 3%. You put that in there and you did calculate it for you. It's calculated, the taxes might be a little off, but you could do the county assessor for that, which is Wayne County for Detroit. But you will be able to get a rough estimate and always overestimate. And you'll be able to see that number. And then you break it down, that you break that number down in small increments, because you're going to get first time home buyer assistance, if you are with a lender that offers that. So if you know you need that, or if you got some savings, but you don't want to use other people's money, free money, if you got grants that you can get, if you're a first time home buyer, go out and get that money. Don't spend your own. And that money that you have saved, say for instance, if you have $15,000 saved, you can take that money and put it on the back end of your mortgage once you get into the house, and it will chop your mortgage. It'll take those years off your mortgage will go down. Don't ever put that money on the front end. Always use the minimum, and then put that chunk of money that you have on the back end. That's going to make your mortgage lower in the forefront. So you want to make sure that you're understanding how you have to have a financial strategy. So I had a client who she was selling the house and her profit was $100,000. She was about to give the mortgage company that $100,000 up front. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All you're doing is paying more fees on that money, and they're getting, sorry, my mortgage lender people. All you doing is paying more fees, and they're getting paid more. Not saying y'all should get paid, but with a financial strategy, like I told her, you take that $100,000, you do the lowest down payment that you can. You take that the rest of that, whatever is left, and you put it on the back end of your mortgage. And her mortgage was, I would say, it was like 30 to 40% lower than what she was going to actually pay. And she cut some years out on her mortgage. Yeah, she signed up for a 30-year, but when she put that money on there, it cut her mortgage got cut in half, because she was able to put like almost $90,000 down, in their back end. So you have to make sure that you're having a financial strategy. So those of you that want to sell a house and you're going to get the profit from the house and you're going to buy another one, never put that money on the front end. Put it on the back end. It'll save you more in the near future, right then and there. So the third thing is know your numbers. This is where people get stuck a lot of times. So you can't reach the goal if you don't know what you're working with. I talked to a young lady today. She didn't even know her credit score. That's the minimum thing that you have to know is your credit score. So, but key things that you need to track is your monthly income. What are the real numbers that you're bringing home? What's not your gross, but your net? Okay, what are you bringing home? What are your monthly expenses that you have now? And I'm talking about everything. I'm not talking about just, your your smaller bills. I'm talking about your utilities, your credit cards, your haircuts, hairdos, clothing every month, kids' activities, food. Everything has to be included. So you will have a real number. Debt to income ratio. So what is that? Your DTI is how much debt you have versus your income. So you need to make sure that you're understanding that number. So typically, lenders want you to have a 43% debt to income ratio. However, some lenders accept more. The higher your credit score, the higher your debt to income ratio is. And if you have a lot of debt because you have assets, income generating assets, that's a whole different thing. Because they'll accept that you have a high debt. Hopefully you have a high credit score if you have income generating assets with that debt. So it's so many different factors that it comes into play when it comes to debt to income. And then your credit score range needs to be great in order to get a better rate up front. Because like I said, you can always change it later on. But the higher your credit score, the better your interest rate. But that's not the real thing. You can change that once you get the house, once you get the mortgage. you refinance once you get to that point where you can, once you talk to a lender where you can, and then you can decrease the interest rate like that. But you want to do that up front, like 1 to 2, 1 to 2 years up front. Try to, depending on what your FHA, sometimes they have a time limit, like you got to have it for 2 years or whatever. But you need to make sure that you know when you can refinance and when to refinance. Don't get 15 years in talking about refinancing. Sorry, y'all. And then that you have to start all over again. Oh, no, 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 no. If you don't refinance within the first I would say 3 years, then you don't start over. Just keep what you got. So, for example, two buyers make the same income. Buyer A tracks spending and frees up $600 a month. Buyer B doesn't track anything and stays stuck. You have to do that budget. You have to know what's coming in, what's going out. Awareness creates control. You want to control your own narrative, control your numbers. So align your daily habits with your home goals. So your house goal won't be reached by motivation, it's reached by habits. Ask yourself, does this habit move me closer to my goal or further away from my goal? That's what you want to realize. That's what you want to do. Hey, that's what you want to make sure that you're understanding that. Happy New Year. You want to make sure that you're understanding the habits that you have. So, listen, I'm not trying to tell nobody how to live their life. If you want to do all the lunches and brunches and do all the bars and do all of the things, but you still want to buy a house, you might have to cut down a little bit on brunch every week. You might only do it once a month. I'm not telling you to stop doing something, but just, cut it down a little bit for a little while. It'll be there once you get done, right? So you want to make sure that you're redirecting your income. So, for example, or I should say some of your money. So you can redirect like $200 a month from eating out to a down payment fund. You can pay down your credit cards instead of, always paying the minimums. That will increase your credit score because 30% of your credit score is your credit card utilization. You want to set up auto transfers for savings. I had to do that. When I first bought my home, I had to do that because I didn't trust myself at that point. I didn't trust myself to be able to manually do it myself. So I had my employer do it for me. So the habits that you are having now bridge between your goals and keys. So just think about the habits. What can you cut back on for right now? And then your housing budget should always keep in your leisure. Don't take away your leisure. If you want to go and have vacations and do things with your children and do things that make you happy, factor that into your budget and then see where you are. Never telling you to get rid of it. So you want to use your home as a wealth building tool, not just a place to live. And I think people get that mixed up when they hear all the noise when all the billionaires and the millionaires that who already have a home tell you not to buy a home is a liability. But you can change that narrative. So you have to be smart when you're buying a home beyond just the closing day. That's where I messed up. I stayed in my house for almost 10 years and did not have a financial strategy. So wealth building examples, while you're in your home would be buying with equity growth in mind. So when you're looking to buy a home, you want to see where the houses are appreciating the most. You want to see where it's climbing the most, and that's where you buy. Planning for a future HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. You only use that um, really. You only use that to improve something in your home. So plan for that, but you want to plan for your equity. Your equity and your mortgage payment has to go down. You have to ask for a consultation to know how to buy a house, but you already know how to buy one. And then you can house hack. So I did a video, go back and watch it. I did a video on it before. You can house hack by buying a multi-unit. If you buy under four units or less, that's still considered a residential home. You can live in one unit and rent out the other ones. You can buy a duplex, do the same. If you got a triplex, do the same. If you can rent out your basement, say you got separate like private access. A lot of the homes in Detroit have separate access to the basement. You can rent out your basement, you know, and then you want to upgrade strategically. Don't over upgrade, and then it doesn't fit the neighborhood. But you want to, the best things to always upgrade is your kitchen, your master bathroom. Always have great paint and flooring, great lighting, and like if you have a flex space, a basement or den, people like those spaces, and your curb appeal. So curb appeal kitchens, master bathroom, and like flex spaces, basements, stuff like that. Those are the four top things that you always need to make sure that is top tier. And just make sure your whole house just look fresh. Nice paint, nice flooring, those different things. So this is how homeowners build, wealth. Because when you talk about upgrades, you're thinking about if that's not your forever home, you're gonna move. You want to make sure you make the upgrades in order to be able to sell it for more to profit, so you can do something else. Or if you want to do some minimum upgrades so you can rent it out and use that equity and you have an investment property and buy your next property, you can do that. So this is the reason why most people don't reach their home goals. And this is how to fix it. So they don't have a written plan. There's no accountability. Um, they're chasing aesthetics instead of affordability. A lot of people have, champagne taste with a beer budget. Start somewhere. Sometimes you can't go from the apartment to the 5 bedroom, 5 bathroom mansion or whatever that you dreaming in your head. Start with the 3 bedroom house that has 1 or 2 bathrooms or whatever, especially if you're younger. Um, so a house hack is when you take whatever you're buying, okay, and it's other methods. You got BRRRR method, which is basically buy, renovate, rent, then you refinance. That's a house hack. You can buy a unit that has multiple units up to 4. If you want to do commercial, 5 or more, that's up to you. But you live in one and then you rent out the other ones that's paying the mortgage. So there's just different ways. So a lot of people just chase what something looks like instead of what they can afford. And sometimes you can get these rose-colored glasses on and then you miss out on a home because it doesn't fit the aesthetic. The whole point of purchasing a home is for you to change it to fit your aesthetic. I had talked to a lady yesterday, and she told me she took her rental home and renovated it, and they still went up on her rent. Absolutely not. You only do that to the home that you own. You don't do that to somebody else's home. She put a deck on it. She renovated the kitchen, the bathrooms, and the basement. And they went up on her rent, and she paid for that out of pocket. Never, ever do that for somebody else. And then another thing people do is not understanding how money actually moves. First, before you know how money moves, you got to understand your relationship with money yourself. I had to do that. Like people don't understand that they have a relationship with money. They don't know. They know, how you feel when you have money. You know when you feel when you don't. Some people get to a point where they get down to a certain point, and it could be like for a person who never even reached that point, they be like, "Shoot, that's still a lot of money." I know somebody that be like, "Look, when my savings goes down to $10,000, I get scared." Like, but yours might be down to 100 or 200, whatever. But whatever that number is, you got to know what your relationship to money is. Once you understand your relationship with money, then you understand how money moves, how money works, right? You always putting money into a vehicle where it's moving and you have an ROI, a return on your investment. So if you're going to buy a home, you want to buy a home in an area that is either improving or, it's going to have appreciation that's crazy. Like in some of the neighborhoods here in Detroit, you talking about 7 to 10%. In the suburbs, you got some that's up to 12 to 15% appreciation year on year, when the national average is only 1 to 5%. So you want to buy in those areas. So what's the solution? Education plus strategy plus consistency. You have to be consistent. This is where guidance and tools matter. So That's 30 minutes. So I just wanted to come on to show you that you have to have a financial strategy, regardless if you're buying or if you are already an owner. Regardless of where you are, you have to have a financial strategy. Those that are looking to buy, you have the financial strategy going in, but once you get in, that's where it gets a little tricky. So your financial strategy has to change. If you're already in a home, your financial strategy has to change. And guess what? I help I help you be able to do that. So I have my program called Pathway to Keys, where I individually sit down with you and create a roadmap to your home buying journey. So if you have issues with your credit, if you are just wanting some, if you don't have issues with your credit but you just need the steps and which way to go, we sit down, we plan it out. I have an actual curriculum that I created to help you get there. And if you already are a homeowner and you need a financial strategy, I have House Rich and Money Smart, how to turn your home into a wealth building powerhouse ebook. You can definitely purchase that and get your financial strategy up so you can turn that liability to an asset. So if you're looking to get a roadmap to your pathway to your keys, that's the name of my program. It's a link in my bio that you can go ahead and schedule an info session with me and see where you are. So then you can have a strategy. So with that being said, everybody have an amazingly beautiful, blessed day. And I'll see you next week for, I probably come on Wednesday. It'll be Real Estate Wednesday next week. Have an amazing day.
Oh, okay. That's everything good.
It's okay.
You gotta redo it.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so I'm giving